husband just confessed to me that he settled for me. Disclaimer is not my story time, send me an Instagram. Ugh. My husband and I met when we were in college. My best friend at the time, let's call her Tori. Her and I lived together and were best friends. We did everything together. I mean, we were like sisters. Let's call my husband Jack. Jack came to school and he was a newbie. He had 0 friends, so Tori and I decided to take him in. So the 3 of us went on to become the 3 Musketeers. He would stay over our apartment so much that we actually just asked him to move in. We would cook for each other, help each other study. We would even do each other's laundry whenever somebody needed help. I'm telling you, we were all like a tight-knit family. But I have a confession. As soon as Jack moved in, I started falling in love with him. But at the time, I never had the balls to ever tell him. You see, Tori was considered the prettier of the 2 of us. And I never resented Tori for that, but people made it very clear that she was the prettier one. And she was always the one to get hit on, never me. But one night, we all got drunk and Jack ended up kissing me. He actually even tried to hook up with me, but I said no. Part 2 is up. My husband confessed that he settled for me. Disclaimer, it's not my story time, I sent me on Instagram. That night, he tried to hook up with me, but I said no. Following morning, he actually apologized. At the time, Tori had just started dating another guy. I mean, Tori had a new boyfriend every single week. At the time, I wished I could have 1 boyfriend. While she had 10, I had 0. This is when I started noticing that Jack was a little jealous of Tori's new relationship. Anytime her new boyfriend would come over, he would get in a really bad mood. I asked him if he was jealous and he said no. A few days later, we all got drunk again and Jack kissed me again. Eventually, we ended up dating and he asked me to be his girlfriend and then we got married. And that all happened within a year. Tori at this time had already gotten married to the guy that she was dating. We actually both had our weddings around the same time. At the time, I felt so lucky that I was able to marry the man that I had fallen in love with in college. I was actually afraid that I would end up alone because I wasn't as pretty as Tori. Fast forward to a year after we all got married. We actually all ended up living in the same cities as well. Tori invited us over for dinner to see their new house. During the dinner, my husband decided to have a few too many drinks. And that's when he blurted out, "I actually liked Tori before I liked you. I only married you because Tori got engaged." They all laughed at this. They clearly thought it was a joke. I laughed it off too. Part 3 is up. My husband confessed to me that he settled for me. Disclaimers are not my story time, I sent me on Instagram. That's when he said in front of everyone that he only married me because he lost his chance with Tori. They all laughed. I mean, even Tori's husband found it funny. When we finally got in the car to head home, I asked him if he actually meant it. He looked at me and he said, "Yeah, I liked Tori before I liked you," and that the only reason he hooked up with me was because he was mad at Tori. I started to cry uncontrollably. This whole time, I never thought he had a thing for Tori. He stops the car and he says, "But I love you," that he had no feelings for Tori anymore. I asked him why he would think that was okay to say out loud. He said he had probably had too many drinks. Yeah, it's the alcohol's fault for sure. When we got home, I asked him again if he really loved me. That's when he explained that the love he has for me is different than the love he had for Tori, and that he was actually infatuated with Tori. That our love was safe love. He said, "Just forget about what I said. It was just a joke. I just wanted to make everyone laugh." That's when I realized that he had made a joke at my cost. And it was all to make Tori laugh. I called Tori the next day and explained everything to her. That's when she confessed that her and Jack had been hooking up in college. I told my husband, and that's when he said that I needed to let it go. That Tori was part of the past. He doesn't even touch me or kiss me. He's always angry and reproaching everything that I did. Thinking about leaving him. We don't have kids yet. What should I do?
Okay, so last year around April, I had just turned 15, right? So for my birthday, I decided that I wanted to invite a couple of friends over to my house. They came over and we were all just hanging out, and my friend had asked me if she could bring her friend that has been wanting to meet me. And I'm not gonna lie, at the time, I was really thirsty. So of course I agreed. I was like, yeah, that's fine, let him come over. Now when the guy came over to my house, he was exactly my type. Like, we just clicked. Long story short, after 3 weeks of talking, he asked me to be his girlfriend, and of course I said yes. So then everything was really good for about 2 months until I got added to this big FaceTime group with a bunch of his friends. You know, they were his boys and they just called me. So then while I was on FaceTime with them, they told me that my boyfriend, their friend, showed them all of my pictures. And they were like, "Oh, can you send us more pictures? Like, we want more." And at first I thought they were just joking. That was until they all ended up sending me my own pictures. So after his friends ended up sending me all the pictures that was supposed to be just between the 2 of us, I was pissed off and I texted him, but I wanted to confront him in person, you know? A few minutes passed by after I texted him and he still didn't respond. So I just ended up walking over to his house. Now, he's 16 and he can drive and he owns his own car. On my way over there, I see his car parked around the corner from his house. And I was just like, oh, that's kind of weird. So I sneakily walked to his car. I looked through his window and I see him with this girl that he told me not to worry about. And they were doing the you-know-what. I called his mom. And I told her to walk over to me. My boyfriend and the girl he was with didn't see us, so I had his mom open his car door. Once my boyfriend saw us, he jumped off of her acting like nothing was happening. Thankfully, his mom didn't just do nothing. She ended up taking away his phone and his car away. And it felt really good knowing that he was in a lot of trouble. Later on, one of his friends that wasn't in the FaceTime earlier texted me saying how sorry he was and how he knew about all of it. He said that it was so wrong and that I was an amazing girl. So then I decided to start talking to his friend, and we have been happily dating since.
Am I wrong for refusing to be a bridesmaid in my sister's wedding? I, 24 female, have a sister, 28 female, Lexi. Lexi and I used to be really close and she was basically my best friend. However, around 7 or 8 months ago, I found out my boyfriend Jonah was cheating on me with her. And now they're getting married in August. We hadn't talked since then until she called me the other day asking me if I would be one of her bridesmaids. I told her I didn't want to do that and she was messed up for even asking that. She said that it would mean a lot to her since I'm her only sister. She also told me that she already bought the dress. Then said I would be letting her down and wasting the money she spent on the dress. I said that just because she bought me a dress doesn't mean I have to be in her wedding. She started crying and telling me how I was being insensitive and holding a grudge against her. I tried to tell her that I was sorry, but she didn't listen and hung up. Now, yesterday my parents invited me over for dinner, but what I didn't know is that Lexi had called them and told them what I said. So, halfway through dinner, my mom, out of nowhere, says that I should be Lexi's bridesmaid. I told her I really didn't want to. She then said that Lexi told her what happened and that I shouldn't care about Jonah and just do it for Lexi. I said I was not going to be in a wedding with my cheating ex-boyfriend and watch him marry my sister. My dad got angry and called me selfish and kicked me out of their house. My parents haven't spoken to me, neither has Lexi, but I also feel like I deserve to feel angry. I'm just so conflicted on what to do. Am I wrong for saying no?